Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Kendall Jarboe. We are learning more about what a potential buyout could mean for two massive American steelmakers mining on the Iron Range. Northern News Now's Natalie Hepner joins us live in studio to break down the proposal and the impact it could have on our region. Natalie?
Yeah, Kendall, as we reported yesterday, U.S. Steel rejected a buyout proposal from rival Cleveland-Cliffs on Sunday for $7.3 billion. U.S. Steel turned it down because the board of directors said the offer was unreasonable. But Cliffs leaders say they are ready to keep working with U.S. Steel to reach a purchase agreement. Cleveland-Cliffs is the largest producer of the flat-rolled steel and iron in North America, with facilities in Silver Bay and on the Iron Range. U.S. Steel operates in Keewatin and Mountain Iron. Out of the 6 major iron mines on the Iron Range, U.S. Steel owns 2 and Cliffs owns 4. U.S. Steel's stock price has struggled in recent years as steel prices have fluctuated. If Cliff purchases steel, one company would control all of the active iron ore mining in Minnesota. Iron Range author Aaron Brown said this would be the first time one company runs all of the iron mines in Minnesota. With that control, Brown says Cliffs would have flexibility to specialize plants to do different things. But the buyout would also come with control over all the iron workers.
I would imagine that this will not stop the slow drain of employees lost to things like automation. We're looking at automation coming in even bigger. They're talking about electrifying their trucks. They're using artificial intelligence. They just announced last week.
Brown says that a possible merger could also consolidate iron mining facilities, which could mean layoffs for some employees. U.S. Steel says they have received other buyout offers from different companies, but the United Steelworkers Union said they'd support Cliffs buying out U.S. Steel. USW's international president wrote that they feel Cliffs is a single steel producer in the best position to purchase U.S. Steel. It would help ensure U.S.-based iron manufacturing remains strong in the country. Brown says support of the steelworkers in the potential merger is unprecedented because of the risk to jobs. He says the steelworkers have formed a close relationship with Cliffs CEO Lourenco Goncalves. They believe working with Cliffs on contracts would be easier than an international steelmaker company.
Thank you, Natalie. And conversations between the two are expected to continue. It is worth noting Cliffs also recently received the mineral leases to the former SR site in Nashwauk.